Evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining to the Talk to Dr. Whyte live show. It is broadcasting upon about 4 or 5 different multimedia streams, and you can see it on Facebook Live. You can see it on the Dr. Whyte page, Talk to Dr. Whyte page. You can also see it on the YouTube Talk to Dr. Whyte page, on Twitter, and on Periscope. So today we have so many great guests. Dr. Whyte will be joining us live in a couple of seconds. We have Karen Vaughn of KB Connect. We also have Bratton. I think I said that right. And we also have Karen Andre, which is the senior Florida. Hi, Karen. Karen's coming on soon. The senior advisor to the Joe Biden campaign. And we will have everyone give you their own bio, but for right now, so Karen is on, and so
Karen.
Hey, Karen, how are you? So Karen, we're waiting for Dr. Whyte. He is coming on very soon. We'll see him in a second. This is the Talk to Dr. Whyte show. We're so freaking excited because this is like, I think, our 3rd or 4th week. And it's really, like I said, gaining traction. So Karen, would you start by just introducing yourself, and then we'll go to Mel, and then we'll go to Karen.
Okay, great. Actually, I don't need these headphones. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Karen Andre. I'm Senior Advisor for the Biden for Florida team, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Okay, Karen Connect, KB Connect.
Yes, hi, my name is Karen Vaughn, and I'm an activist. I'm also a medical professional, and I am also a marketing executive. And then I have my own business, KV Connect LLC. So I'm happy to be on with you. I'm very excited because Karen Andre's on, my Haitian sister, and of course Melvin Bratton, who's a University of Miami Hall of Famer. So I'll give it to Melvin right now.
Sac passe. All right. There you go. Now, my name is Mel Bratton. There you go. There it is. That's my girl right there. The U. See, that's why we get along already. That's family right there. I'm a former Hurricane, Hall of Fame, University of Miami. Presley, I played for the Broncos, Denver Broncos, and also I'm a sports agent, NBA certified, and NFL certified at this time. So involved in a lot of young guys' lives and kind of got them in the right direction. So I'm excited to be on the show. When Karen gave me the opportunity, I was very ecstatic to be part of this.
I'm not hearing.
Can't hear.
No sound.
No sound. Yeah.
My fault. Sorry. I took my own advice, guys. So we're waiting on Dr. Whyte to come in. But in the meantime, so one of the things that we're talking about is, of course, the social justice as well as the voting. And as you guys know more than I do, this week was a phenomenal week in terms of the sporting pro sports. And I didn't introduce myself. I'm Kandi Conda. I am a Hall of Famer. I'm the first African-American woman. Thank you. Here's Doc. Come on, Doc. Thank you, Doc. The first African-American woman to own my own pro basketball team. So I was very excited about what happened in pro sports this week. So I'm going to take a back seat. I just wanted to tell you guys Doc's in now. So Doc, take it away.
How are you? How is everyone doing? Welcome, Miss Andre, Karen Andre, and Mr. Bratton. Welcome to the Talk to Dr. Whyte show. Karen, Miss Vaughn, my sister, and last but not least, my co-host, Miss Kandi. Welcome to the Talk to Dr. Whyte show. Since I'm late, I apologize, everyone. I had some technical difficulties, but basically, I want you guys to keep the flow going, and I'll just take a back seat for now, and later on I'll flow into the questions. We have some very interesting questions to ask of the panelists. So thank you again. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
So my question was, what did you guys think of the professional sports industry basically taking a major step today, or I shouldn't say today, but in the last couple of days, in the social justice movement?
Oh, I can step in a little bit. This is a long time coming, and it really warmed my heart. This is not the first time athletes have stepped up. We know as far back as the '68 Olympics, the iconic photo of the brothers with the power fist up. But those brothers will tell you how they were shunned as a result of those stances that they took. We know Muhammad Ali took, strong stances. We know many, truth tellers have taken stances in the over the years, but one or two or three at a time. But this is seismic because this was industry wide, right? This is the first time that I've seen just folks taking, a concerted stance all at once. And it really, it vindicates Colin Kaepernick, that people have been calling a troublemaker and all types of things for all these years. And it vindicates the rest of the people who have been calling for justice. So usually you've heard athletes say, well, I got a family to feed. I'm like, I think your family can live pretty well off of $10 million a year or whatever it is. Melvin, no offense on,
Yes.
the amount that these men make. But, this is really, I think, the beginning. And I've always said, if the hip hop industry and the entertainers in our community put their heads together and start to be the truth tellers, our young people and the community will follow suit. So I think we're starting to see that. And I would imagine all these, particularly the NBA players, all of them know that could be them, right? They could have been a Jacob Blake. They know that. Some of them have been in situations and just, barely missed death. So I'm very proud. I think this is like that seismic turn that we're seeing, that it's going to be much more broad and vocal. I think people were a little scared before, but I think now everybody's fed up and willing to speak up. So I think it's great.
I concur. Let me chime in on you. So that was excellent. God gave me this name. You got the baby boomers, then you got the millennials. Now I think this generation right here is the make a change generation. So y'all can include me on the board of directors, whoever come up with this name, and take it to fruition. But I think by these guys stepping up, it's really showing that they're not afraid, like you said, Karen. It's like they're not afraid far as their salaries being decreased or being cut, the whole deal. They're controlling the game, the issue. You saw when they backed out, TV ratings, everything was going crazy, skyrocketing, people losing their mind. So the power, we've been like praying for this type of change for a long time. So now with the collegiate guys, you should see, I have a client, I want to say what NFL team he's on, but they had a closed door meeting with the head coach, the whole entire team. He spoke out. He's a very reserved kid, but he spoke out. He thought he did something wrong. So I texted him back and told him, I said, no, I appreciate the fact that you just step up and let them know how you feel, because the simple fact, we've been hurt so long and so many times. And when police officers are not bashing them, because I have friends and cousins that's a part of the force, but just certain things of what these minorities are really, really being just intimidated to the fact that they get pulled over. Everybody gets nervous. If you see all the videos, everything, guys are panicking, running, and just don't know what to do because they're out of fear. So I'm glad this movement is happening. And I wanted to trickle down from the high school kids who turned 18 and got out and vote, and all the way to the college guys. We got to hit that medium guys to maybe get them focused so they can start continue this legacy.
Let me just add, what I think is really important about it is that when they do it together as a collective, what are they going to do? Fire the whole squad?
Right. That's true.
Right. I mean, you know about recruitment and how long it takes to put the right team together, Melvin. So when a whole team stands together, they're owning their power now. They're owning their agency, and they're owning their collective power as brokers and as athletes, and in terms of their finances as well. I'll stop there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've always said that unity is power. And I've always questioned, why is it that some of the athletes and, like the NBA, NFL, the MLB, they never took a stance? Because, if just one person did it, like Colin Kaepernick did, a couple years ago, then of course it was just him. Basically, they might have been a few guys that wanted to do it, but they were all scared. But as Karen said, the whole team comes together, or with unity, there's power. So, I mean, they're not going to fire a whole team, and you saw what happened. So I really think that they now took a stance, and they should follow up on that And the hip hop industry is next. And I do have quite a few friends in the hip hop industry, so I'm going to go ahead and suggest that to them. I don't know if they're going to follow suit, but this needs to happen, because then it's going to trickle down, as Melvin said, to the to the teenagers, to the high school and the college kids. And they're already very vocal, the college and high school kids. We've seen that in the protests and everything. We've seen them out there. And even with the Obama campaign, he got quite a few of the young people to rally around him because of the hip hop industry. I don't know, Karen, you saw that, right? Karen Andre, you were there with the Obama, when Obama got elected, because I think he appointed you, right, to the urban development, Obama. So I think that this movement that they have started, it's going to go a long way. I really think so. If they keep up with it, if they all stand united, because the motto is united we stand, divided we fall.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I wanted to emphasize, I see the NBA players are really doing a great job as far as being outspoken. That being said, is the NFL, I do not really see the NFL taking a proactive approach or more bold approach. Will anyone, Karen or Mr. Bratton, would you guys basically emphasize on that issue?
Yeah, I'll speak on it. What the problem is right now, a lot of guys are in training camp on the football side. They just went in to work. So a lot of things is practicing, trying to learn the plays, trying to get up to speed with the playbook. So once the season kicks in, then you'll start seeing different things being, verbalized and opening on interviews, the whole deal. So right now, everybody's in a training camp grinding, trying to get to the weekend. A couple weeks from now, 15 days as from today, will be the first game to kick off. So a lot of people are basically confined in a sense. So once they break camp and be able to go back to their own homes and be able to get out that situation as far as a bubble situation, you will see a lot of, you got Vaughn Miller, a couple of guys, they was, before they went to camp, a lot of guys were speaking out. They were stepping up. You just don't know their faces because they have helmets on. The NBA guys, you know them because, hey, all the girls know who the NBA guys because they got no helmets on their face. So we should get frustrated about that, but that's another story. But you'll hear the guys in the NFL, collegiate and the collegiate side, they're making stands. Like the Nebraska players, it was like 9 players stood up and basically, they fought. So it's transitioning. So you'll see it coming around once the season kicks off.
And I know when they're in training, I think it's very tenuous. They can get cut at any time. I think there's a day on Tuesday they're supposed to find out. Do they make right? I watched the podcast.
You had a boyfriend or something that was in camp, Karen. You still don't know a lot.
I watched the podcast about the economics of the NFL one. Yeah. It was very enlightening. Yeah, no, for sure. Now, I mean, not much to add to that. That's Melvin's lane. I just think it's, again, when people start to understand their negotiating power and understand how much they make the NFL make money, the NBA make money, then they can negotiate from a position of power. So I think there was a young man this week that's a former NFL player who just was trying to move into a new community that he was moving into in Weston. Yes. And the cops got called on him. I don't know if you all saw that video.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. His name is Mr. Marshall.
Yeah, Mr. Marshall, Brandon Marshall.
Brandon, yeah, I know Brandon very well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know him very well. Yeah, he's
I would love to have him, show to talk about, that issue, his experience, and what happened, because that was his first day moving in, and they called the cops on him the first day. And so, black males, particularly, when we live in a neighborhood that is exclusive, we tend to have this problem of being profiled consistently. I have a lot of my friends who have, kind of quietly expressed this experience, to me, and I was shocked. I mean, some have gotten their guns pulled on them. These are people that are in really high profile position, but because they're black, they're seen as just a black person who's suspicious, running through these neighborhoods. So this is something that we definitely have to deal with. And I don't know if any one of you guys, Miss Andre or Bratton or Karen or Kandi want to touch on this issue. What can we do? What policies can we put in place to make this make the needle move to change this?
Well, two things. One is Brandon, I actually put that video up because he's actually the cousin of one of my board members. So it's interesting. I sent that video to him. But I think that, you know, one of the things that everyone has been calling me asking, and I'm sure Mel has the same question, is what's our plan B? What's next? And one of the things that the athletes are saying, and I've seen it in the news the last couple of days, is the athletes have all said, well, the first thing we're doing is we need to talk about it every single solitary moment that we have. That, you know, whether it's on television, on a television interview, on social media, we need to continue beating the drum. The second thing is that I think it's awesome. Most of the arenas have agreed to be a voting place for the November 3rd election. So the arenas being up there, that's huge, because now you can fit hundreds, thousands of people or tens of thousands of people in all of these arenas and do social distancing and have them have a place to vote. So, I mean, I think it's baby steps. I don't know, Mel, Miss Andre, you can tell me, but I think we have to do baby steps in order to get to the big picture.
Sure. Go ahead, Miss Karen, go ahead. I'll speak after you.
Mute when you're not talking so we can keep the feedback down. Thank you.
The vice president did a video addressing the shooting of Jacob Blake today and spoke out uncategorically against excessive force by police, excessive violence against Black Americans or any American, but particularly the disproportionate violence against Black people, and not just by the police. We know that Ahmaud Arbery was not killed by police. We know that Trayvon Martin was not killed by police, right? There are vigilantes out there who feel, whether they call them Karen or Brad, who feel it is their right and their duty to police Black people and somehow keep us in line. And so in a Biden-Harris administration, we would be calling for systemic investigations into these things, but also proactive measures to really do some retraining and investment of issues, investment into community programs that help de-escalate and also move certain responsibilities out of the hand of police. For instance, our brother who got killed, in the Wendy's parking lot in Atlanta, cops shouldn't have had to be called for that. That could have been a community aide, or in some cases, a mental health assistant or somebody else that was there that has responsibilities that are governmental but not law enforcement, that can help a person that is not a threat to themselves or a threat to society, and therefore avoid police being called and therefore something escalating. So when we talk about defunding the police, the vice president has been clear about, no, we can't defund in terms of taking away their whole budget, but we should make credible investments in programs that are going to remove the responsibility from the police to do some of these things that often lead to these types of situations, and also make investments that are supporting our communities in ways that need to be, that support their well-being and their growth. Now, on top of that, but the reality is, was so striking to me, right after President Obama was elected in 2008, he and First Lady Obama sat down for a 60-minute interview, and they asked her, are you not afraid for your husband being the first Black president of these United States, for his safety and his well-being, that he might be assassinated while in office? She said, as in a typical Michelle Obama, it is what it is type of lingo, she said, look, my husband is a Black man in America. He can get shot going to the gas station. And right? You were just, yeah. But it was real. She gave me chills, but it really speaks to the fact that, Black people, Black men in particular, but Black women, we know Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor are subjected to excessive violence, excessive force. Our children are subjected to excessive policing in schools. And so we have to have a systemic look into these practices and investigation. And, there are people calling from some of these folks' pensions to be impacted. If you have, many excessive force charges against you, maybe that starts to eat away at your pension. So we're looking at strategies in terms of community policing that we should be investigating. And let me plug a dear friend by the name of Dwayne Bryant, who wrote a book called The Stop After Being Stopped by Police. He has modules of education he's been running in Cook County Public Schools to teach children how to come out of these interactions safely, and also how to deal with some of the, many issues that they're dealing in their communities. And although he made it out of that stop alive, he also acknowledges that many don't. And it's not just because, they didn't keep their hands on the steering wheel, right? So that's a great person I would recommend that you have on your program in the future. And I'm happy to connect you, because he has a whole curriculum around this that he's helping save lives in our Black community for our boys and girls.
Yes, that would be great to have him on the show. And another thing is that, what about how this is affecting the children, mentally, when they're seeing this, kids seeing, they're growing up and they're seeing this, they've seen this happen. I mean, from maybe they were born, and now they're seeing their fathers, it could be their cousins, their brothers, family members, and they look on TV and they see that this is happening. Like, that video, I couldn't even watch the whole thing, because they shot the young gentleman 7 times in his back. And I'm like, why is it that they had to shoot him that many times? I mean, they shouldn't even have had to have shot him even once. But I mean, I don't know the history, and I don't know the whole logistics of what happened, up to the shooting. But I'm just saying, it's just inhumane for me to see someone shooting someone 7 times in the back. And, yeah, are we looking at how this is affecting, children, their mental, when they look on TV and see this image of someone shooting a Black young man, because he was 20-something years old, I believe, in the back 7 times. And then we saw, with Mr. Floyd, how they actually, the knee on the neck. I mean, to me, I'm a grown person, I'm an adult, and I mean, it affects me. So I can just imagine how it's affecting our children,
It is. And this brings up the issue about some of our reticence about embracing mental health and mental health services in our community. We are victims of Tuskegee experiments and abuses by the medical profession. So it's not imagined. It's not a conspiracy. We have reasons to not trust not only law enforcement, but also even the medical community. We know Henrietta Lacks cells were taken, without her consent, and have been used to help come up with cancer fighting treatments. And we know that there are doctors that used to experiment on Black women slaves without anesthesia. So our community is so traumatized by continued abuse in so many different sectors that it's no surprise that they also look at mental health and mental health professionals with some sort of dis-ease and distrust. But there are many, Black mental health and social service professionals that do understand the intersection of the violence and the need for the support. And we have to find a way to encourage that in our communities, because I'm not well as an adult living all these years on this earth, fully empowered in this society, with a law degree and walked in. I'm not well. So I can't imagine how a 6-year-old, 12-year-old, a 16-year-old can be well, and what their vision for their future can be when this is happening. And it seems it's just happening without any real recourse. And so we have to find a way to more normalize mental health and therapy in our community, but with practitioners that we trust. And the good thing is that there is a really large and growing population of licensed clinical social workers and mental health professionals in our community. And we have to have dialogue to make that more normal for ourselves, because there's no way we can continue to keep seeing our bodies brutalized like that and be well and just be, it's overwhelming.
It's pretty tough. I mean, to expound on what you said, Miss Karen, I can't watch the video. I have not watched, people have sent me the video, and I just said, I can't anymore. That's it. I'm up to here. I don't want to see any more videos of any more young Black men or women or kids being shot. I can't. And I'm a mental health professional, and I just can't see it. So, just imagine, the average Joe.
Yeah.
The average Joe. So just imagine. So the thing is, I watched a video with Ice Cube. Ice Cube, there's a movement with the celebrities, Ice Cube and P. Diddy, Miss Andre. They're talking about holding the black votes hostage because the Republicans or Democratic Party does not have a plan for the black community, and so the plan is not enough. It's not sufficient. So is there something that you could speak to them to make sure that the black community across America understands that that the party do have a black agenda, do have a plan for the black community?
So I've been so entrenched on trying to win Florida. I've heard of the videos, and I certainly know that the frame of mind, and I get where they're coming from. Many feel that historically, right, that when you look over the arc of time, it doesn't feel as if the black vote is fully respected. When you look at the fact that black women turn out at 98%, that's an insane percentile, time after time. And when you look at what you feels like either lack of investment or investment too late in policies or even outreach, particularly on presidentials, I get it. I've been inside, I've been outside. What I do know to be true is this: holding the black vote hostage past November 3rd, then we all lose, right? Saying we want a seat at the table and having a conversation is totally normal, totally justified, and that should happen, right? Making recommendations to the administration or to the Biden camp is totally normal and should happen. But these conversations start way before election year, right? They start during the primary, they start right after the previous election. And so my only concern sometimes, and I'm not saying this of P. Diddy or Ice Cube, is that oftentimes folks pop up with these issues during election year when it has to be an ongoing process. This was my issue in 2016 with people saying never Hillary and, I can't go with her, and okay. So now, okay, fine. Are you going to work over the next 4 years to set up a candidate that you do believe in and make sure that we are restructuring things in a way that you feel things, so people just, dissent and then they stay home and then you don't hear from them for another 4 years. So the work that has to be done is constant. It requires knocking on the doors and taking your seat at the table. And like Shirley Chisholm says, when there is no seat at the table, you pull up with your lawn chair, right? And you insist for your seat at the table. So I'll give you an example of Brittany Packnett, who was part of the movement in Ferguson, and she was categorically dismissed by other Ferguson activists because when the Obama administration invited many Black Lives Matter activists to come and sit and talk about community policing, she was one of the few that went in. They called her a sellout. But she has been able to now have the ear of many and help inform and help her folks who have been calling her a sellout actually have a voice and direct some of the dialogue that they have been saying from the street inside at the table. So there's nothing wrong with outside and inside baseball, but you have to really tee it up and work together. So I would hope that they're outside saying, hold the vote hostage, but they're talking to somebody that is inside and making sure that some of the communications are going through. We say it every cycle, but I think we all feel it, that this is the election. We cannot take another 4 years. And that does not mean that we give up our vote without a demand for assurances. It does not mean that we give out our vote without a demand for a dialogue or what have you. But it does mean that we have to really, really make sure that we stay engaged, get him elected and stay engaged and continue to have a seat at the table in his administration and hold them accountable.
So that
we often don't do.
That being said, I know that we're talking. We could talk about two of the things that are very hot, and a lot of us, we all have something to say. So basically what you're saying, Ms. Andre, and I do agree with you, is that you encourage P. Diddy and Ice Cube and those who are entertainers to, I'm saying this, reach out to Karen Andre, reach out to the Biden camp, have the dialogue, guys. Don't just say, well, hold the black vote hostage. But what I do agree with Ms. Andre, what she's saying is for you guys to have a dialogue with her. Call her, call someone in the Biden camp and engage them.
They know, they know the folks in the HQ. I'm in Florida, right? I am senior advisor for the #1 battleground state, but I'm one of 50 states, right? But our HQ is in Philadelphia. The folks who are driving the policy and the heads of the campaign, they should deserve, and I hope we'll have an audience with those at HQ, because they're saying it, hold it hostage until we get what we want, right? So the get what you want requires a dialogue. So that's what I'm saying. Right. Have the dialogue. Mm-hmm.
So I want to bring Mel in here, because I want to go back to the sports end of this for a second, because I have one of my clients who I took care. I ghost wrote his book. I write books for athletes, and one of my clients came and sat in my front room 2 weeks ago and said, well, Joe Biden is not exciting. Joe Biden is not. Kamala did this for the African American male with the drug charges, and I had to sit here and unfortunately take a 45-minute time span and say, let's talk history here. Let's talk about let's talk about RBG and the fact that we have one liberal seat, and how, what I'm trying to say is, without taking too much time, is that we have to educate some of our young people. We have to educate our millennials on this process. I have my daughter is a millennial, and her friends, and I sit them down, and they're athletes, they're entertainers, they're DJs, they're on-air personalities, they're celebrities and influencers, but they haven't before now cared about politics. So now I sit them down and say, here's what you need to understand about how, Merrick Garland didn't get in, but the Republican Party played the long game and waited 8 years to get the candidate that they wanted to get. And that doesn't care to them. They don't care about that, but we need to make them care. And so, when you're talking athletes, entertainers, and millennials, I think it's a different conversation that you have to have. And I want to bring Mel in, because I think he understands where I'm going with this. I mean, you all do, but really, I had to sit here with my client and school him for like an hour, on understanding the process.
First off, nobody's perfect, number one, and that's part of the problem. You want to take a little piece of something and escalate it to the fifth power. But one of the things that, let's go back to Ice Cube and P. Diddy. I respect them as actor and music, and I grew up on them, the whole deal. Love everything they've done. But their kids are not in jeopardy at all. In comparison to this, their kids are okay. My 12-year-old and my 8-year-old, my 30-year-old. I mean, those are the ones that you see on television that's having these problems. It's not their kids. They're getting chauffeured, to where they got to go to. So they have, bodyguards to go. So y'all miss me with that, to even put that in the atmosphere, to say I'm disheartened in the sense for them guys to even put it, to hold a black vote hostage. We already behind the 8 ball right now. So what you're doing is putting doubt to that young client, like you said, who now, listen, rap music controls his environment. Social media controls his environment. So anything that's put out there in the atmosphere, these kids want to be gangsters because they're hearing the rap music telling them that they whatever. I had a former player that I was recruiting. He's from Fresno, California. He became a gangster toting guns because he lived vicariously through one of the rappers. So this is a poison, and that's what the other side wants us to see, for us to battle within. So now we lose focus. We need to get back to us as minorities, and let's hit the real. I mean, now is the time with LeBron. I admire that brother one time, 110%. He is one of the few athletes at that platform to step up like that. I give major hats and kudos. So those guys to do what they did in that atmosphere, to step down, the Milwaukee guys to step down. A guy, he's not even from here, from another country. So by that brother stepping up and saying, look, we're going to make a change in the country he's not born in. And we got guys born and raised here. They done seen from the riots in Miami back in the days, the McDuffie riots. So this ain't nothing new that's been happening, but these dudes getting caught up in this popularity contest, which a lot of them need to be quiet and just, not even raise his eyebrow, because we're getting turned off where we need to go. We need these kids to come in. So that young client that you sat there and talked to, he's been misguided by the verbiage he's hearing from these guys. So it's like, now he's guessing, should I get out and go vote? Why? It don't matter. We got to get that Black Lives Don't Matter vote mindset out of here. But if not, we're going to be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So it's frustrating, disheartening. I know I'm getting a little anxious right now, so I'm ready to fight somebody right now, but I got to calm down. So that Liberty City coming out, that Miami coming out, Karen. Y'all see that, right?
That's 305. I got it.
Right, exactly.
It's okay. You're passionate. Well, let me add a little bit to that, because I really get when people say they need excitement. There's nothing exciting about white supremacy. There's nothing exciting about children in cages. And if you're not excited to get rid of that, right? If you're not excited, if you get excited off of Hollywood and entertainment. This is not entertainment. This is law. This is policy. This is your life. This is the law, and government governs everything from your birth certificate to your death certificate. So you should be excited about having a say in who gets to govern everything from your birth certificate to your death certificate. The cabinet, the U.S. cabinet, HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Veterans Department, Education Department, Environmental Department, all of that is going to change if you elect a new president. All these people that have been rolling back everything Obama tried to put into place, you get to put it right back where it should have been. The Obama Pandemic Council that they set up, that we went through SARS, we went through MERS, we went through Zika, we never had a global pandemic. Why? Because they had scientists in place, they had a strategy, and what did this current president do? He rolled it all back, and now here we are. And he also held back on really putting a plan in place, because he was prioritizing his politics over our public health. And here we are. So you're not excited about changing that? How about if you're athletes, y'all understand offense and defense. Some years you're playing offense, years you're playing defense. This year we're playing defense. We got to get this man out of office. I'm excited about that. And to your point about the athletes and what they could do, Nipsey Hussle is my hero, because that brother, in a couple of years, he left a co-working space that kids in the hood can go to and get free Wi-Fi. Yeah. He left several businesses. He had his marathon store wired so that you can go in there and use technology. He put a young Ghanaian brother on who is now working for Google to help do all types of technology. So he did more with his young short life in Crenshaw and Slauson, and died there for the community than than others who are talking but not really following up. And I'm not saying that P. Diddy doesn't do a lot and Ice Cube doesn't do a lot, but there's a lot they can do between the goalposts of election years in the community on the ground that can help inspire folks and help them stay engaged. But we should not need to be excited by a presidential candidate. Yes, it's all fine and good, but this is not Hollywood. This is policy. This is your life. And these people are going to make decisions about your life. And you should be excited about making sure the right person is in office to make decisions about your life.
Well, one thing I wanted to stress, emphasize on let's get back to the voting. Okay. So I saw Keisha Howard. How are you? Keisha Howard is extremely active, one of the active poster on the show. So she was saying that we should not vote by mail, but vote in person. Can you speak to that, Ms. Andre, or
yes,
Mr. Melvin?
Yes, so we are still encouraging people to request their vote by mail ballot, because again, our campaign is prioritizing people's health over politics. However, in all the counties in the state of Florida, at least, you can go in during early voting. During early voting is a 2-week period that anywhere in your county, you don't have to just vote in your precinct. You could be North County, South County, wherever you can find a public library, you can go there. The ballot's already filled out. Drop it in the supervisor of elections drop box. No postage. No worrying about USPS, and go home. You don't have to stand in line. You can be socially distanced, and you're going to know that your ballot is going to be counted because it's going straight in the lockbox that the SOE picks up every day. So that's one strategy. Those who want to trust the mail, yes, you should send it in early. You can track it online on your county website for your supervisor of elections. And if you see that it's not arriving, then you can go in and request to have it cured and fix it. Or you can go during early voting and stand in line, socially distancing, or you can vote on election day. But, if you go vote on election day and anything goes wrong, the chance for you to fix it or get anything done to fix it is minimal, because you just have those 12 hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we recommend people requesting their vote by mail ballot. And if they do not want to put it in the mail, then dropping it off during that 2-week early vote period that ends probably the Sunday before election day, and just drop it there. or standing in line socially distanced during early voting.
I tell you what, let's have a challenge. The local minority businesses that's, in those areas, those jurisdictions, as far as those zones, why not, the companies that Black owned come out and support, provide, not saying give away meals or whatever, to have seating to the social distancing. A lot of people are worried about, the COVID-19 hit, like what you just said. So let's have a plan. Let's do a master plan and hit those areas where everybody's pitching in, everybody's supporting each other, and not allowing this not to happen because everybody's so intimidated. But I'm happy that the 2-week period for us, you can actually walk in with your vote in your hand and put in that box. Because my mom, she's type, "Oh, come on, baby, you got to get this in." So I'm like, okay, but I was worried about the mail-in part. And listen to Stephen A. Smith on ESPN the other day. He made a heck of a point as far as not just allowing it, but the tracking system that you guys, that needs to be put out commercially, as advice from me, to let everybody know there are options. A lot of people do not know that. That's my first time really hearing it. And what's frustrating, I'm willing to bet you the guys who's talking about this have never been on Mr. Biden and Miss Harris's site. They don't even know. I mean, they ain't even clicked on the button, for Voice of America or Joe Biden's deal to do. So it's just frustrating in the sense that people are speaking from the back of their neck.
Right. And really what everybody needs to do is create a vote plan. So if you have a 17-year-old about to turn 18, they should be getting registered to vote. They have until October to register to vote for the November election. So everybody 17 and above should be registered to vote in your house. You all should decide as a family how you're going to vote. If it's going to be vote by mail, then go on to the Supervisor of Elections website in your county and request your ballot. They'll tell you on the website how to track your ballot. They'll tell you when early voting start. They'll tell you all the locations in your county where early voting is, and then the times and the hours that you can go drop off that ballot during early voting. Somebody's asking, can you drop it off at the precinct? Are you asking on election day? Because on election day, you're voting in person. Okay.
Right.
So,
what I think
Andre, Miss Andre, one thing I wanted to speak. One thing I wanted to emphasize also. Okay, if you live in the Caribbean, you live in Jamaica, you live in Haiti, you live in Bahamas, and you're a citizen.
yes.
Okay, we need to speak to that population and emphasize that they can send in their ballots. But I want you to speak to this issue, Ms. Andre, with regards to voting.
I mean, it's the same for people who are in the military, right? We have millions of soldiers who are abroad who can vote by mail as well. But again, it requires requesting your ballot early and getting it in early. And then, like I said, tracking it, because if there's an issue, we can flag that with the Supervisors of Election Office and cure it. The other flag about that is that if you are required, if you're mailing it, to sign the envelope, right? And if your signature looks different when you sign it than what it looks like on your original voter registration card, that can make them question whether it's really you. So make sure your signature matches. And if it doesn't, it will be flagged, and you will have a certain amount of time to cure that and fix it. That's for those in the state. But for those who are not, it's very important to make sure you're watching the signature. And again, you can be going on now to request your ballot. It's August. They're going to drop in about mid-September. So if you're going to ask for it now, you should be able to get it mid-September and have all the way up until right before Election Day in late October to get that ballot in. Okay, overseas or in country.
Another point would be for, because I heard someone saying, oh, it was Kandi, about the young gentleman saying there's no excitement or whatever. How about he try to get out there? If he's an athlete, he could try to get, a couple of the young people together, get them out there, go to the colleges, or go around and gather these young people to go out there and vote. That's what he should do, because like a figurehead like LeBron, a lot of young people look up to LeBron. They like him, they look up to him, and some of these other rap artists, Chris Brown, whoever the rap artist is, Bow Wow, I know he was one of the ones that went out there for Obama when Obama was running. A lot of these kids, they listen to their music, they listen to a lot of these, they look up to some of these other athletes, so they should try to, get the community. I mean, I could go out there and try to get, a lot of the young people, because, I have a daughter too, a young daughter, and she could, gather some of her friends. We could go out there and try to get all these young people to go out who are eligible to vote, to go out and vote. That's how we, rally and get them excited and get the young people to go to vote, because, millennials, I understand what the guy was saying. They have to be energized then, basically, to vote, because a lot of them, they don't really know a lot about politics, because some of them don't even listen to the news. They don't. So, they need that they need someone to kind of get them together, energize that base, and we get them out there to vote, the young people. And I'm committed to do that with my daughter and her friends.
Well, Karen, as you talk about energize, when Kamala Harris came on board, the Caribbean American community was energized. I mean, they're up in arms. They're excited because Kamala is part Jamaican, and so that has really energized the Caribbean American community, from what I know in South Florida. So there's a lot of movement there, Miss Karen. So. Is there a strategy that the Biden camp will be pushing or touching more of the Caribbean community to keep that energy going?
Yeah,
or
absolutely. So immediately upon her announcement, they're starting the Caribbean Americans for a Biden push, right? So even before that, every group that's really enthused about Joe Biden's candidacy has started a blank for. So you've seen Colombians for, you've seen African Americans for. We just had a Believers for Biden launched today, where Christians of all different backgrounds got on a call to say that we're for Biden. So you will start to see more Caribbean Americans for type events or what have you. There's already Haitian Biden, which is Haitians for Biden. So, but that's just the energy on social media. But there'll also be obviously, investments in radio and television that are Caribbean focused and local, not just, the airwaves rate ads that you'll see. We'll also be employing surrogates. You haven't heard it yet, but yesterday the senator was able to tape an interview with a local English Caribbean radio station. She was interviewed by well-known Jamaican attorney Marlon Hill, who was just a candidate in Miami-Dade County for commissioner. So he interviewed her. It's going to be released probably next week, and they're also going to release it on Jamaicans.com. So those things are happening, and you're going to start to see them bubbling up. But it's not just Caribbean Americans. It's not just the AAPI, the Asian American Pacific Islander community is enthused because her mother's Indian. The Divine Nine, all the Black sororities and fraternities are excited. All the members of the historically Black colleges and universities are excited because she's a Howard Bison. So she checks so many different boxes. Heck, I'm sure Black prosecutors are excited, and Black attorneys, right? And Black people, and so Black women. So all of those groups many of them are self-organizing, like the Links, the Deltas. So many of the sororities and fraternities have been self-organizing because many of them are 501c3. So they do not play in partisan politics. Obviously, they know as individuals who they support, but the organization does not endorse something, but they do a lot of civic engagement to get youth in their communities out to vote. So they've been doing that, and now they even have more reason to do it. So the other thing, I hear a lot is people like, I don't feel the energy. This is COVID. No one has ever had, I don't know why I chose the campaign in COVID to be senior advisor for. I really have to rethink my choices in life because it's so hard. There are no campaign offices. There are no big rallies. There are no big speeches, right? Because we all have to. You're a hurricane,
so then you got to take it.
Thank you.
Melvin has something that can help you with that, Karen. He'll tell you about it. Maybe afterwards. So he has something that can help you with that. With what
To wrap up the point is it's very challenging to keep people engaged during a COVID. The last time we had a pandemic was 1918. So I don't have anybody I can call and say, what was it like doing a presidential in 1918, right? So folks the excitement part is really also because you can't drive by a campaign office and pop in and pick up a yard sign, right? You can't pick up some lit. All that's coming, but we have to figure out everything now. How many PPEs we need for the staff, how large of a warehouse we can find so people can socially distance that they pick up their yard signs. So everything's moving a little bit slower because we're prioritizing public health over politics, whereas the other side isn't, which is probably why our numbers are still spiking in Florida. All that to say that the excitement will build. We are going to harness the excitement over the senator and also what Biden brings. And we do need to send you all the policies more in your inbox because they actually do have a very robust plan. I was just looking through it. The plan, particularly for Black America, is called Lift Every Voice. And then they sent around a racial equality plan after that. Again, you would be seeing it in a speech at a big rally if this was non-COVID. But now it's on a website somewhere, or it's in your inbox, or it might have been, somewhere. And if people don't hear it personally, they think it didn't happen. And a lot is happening. So I'll be happy to share with you all the link to that. But one of the things that I looked at it the other day was seeing their plan to help small businesses, Black small businesses, not only rebound, but also thrive in this economy. The Obama-Biden camp had an amazing small business plan where they helped many Black businesses start to contract with the federal government. That I know personally people who became millionaires during that 8 years. Those were scaled back. We want to increase them by 300-fold if Biden is reelected. That's important to the Black community. The largest sector of new entrepreneurs is Black women. We know Caribbean people keep 13 jobs, right? And one of them is always a side hustle and a side business. So that's information, right? That y'all remember 13 jobs from Living Color, right? So that's information we need to get out to you all in sound bites so that people can be shared, because it's good. It's just on a website somewhere. Folks aren't doing the research. Now they'll go research a restaurant, they'll go research a club, they'll go research the hottest tea on Shade Room, but they're not going to go on our website and research our policy. So we got to do a better job of getting it out to you.
Well, Karen Andre, as he spoke about the Black entrepreneurship and women, I do know some women in the Haitian American community, Gillian Berry, Dr. Fleur, Marie Latiture, and I'm not saying that them particularly, but there's a notion and there's a conversation that has been out there where the camps don't put money in certain political Black entities. And so that's one of the things that I'm concerned with Ms. Andre. So what do
you mean by political entities? Give me an example. Are you saying that they're not making investments to like on radio in those communities and stuff like that?
In those communities, exactly. Radios or campaign, getting them involved in the campaign on the paying side.
Right.
Basically, they'll put the money in, YouTube or on television in the bigger media, and then the small businesses, small Black political entities that have been there for many years.
Right.
They get left behind. They get overlooked.
Yeah. There's truth to that, right? But what I will say, it's not always, as nefarious as people think. If you ever watch somebody try to take an ocean liner and change the course, just for them to change a couple of degrees and turn 90 degrees, it may take hours. The same with a presidential, because of the 50-state campaign, right? So somebody in one state all the way down in Miami saying, hello, we're out here. It takes a long time to bubble up, which is why representation matters, which is why it's important to have a me or somebody like me at the table advocating. And let me tell you, I got announced on July 6th. On July 7th, people had their proposals in my inbox. So it's my job to go and knock on the door in Philadelphia in HQ to say, okay, and advocate for that. And then I am doing that. And we will see a much better sense of investment in this presidential than in previous years. But it does take advocates on the inside. But it also takes folks who really study the landscape. What happens again? Everybody falls back after the presidential ends. The folks who get connected and stay connected are those who figure out, okay, who are the Democratic Party officials in this state? I need to know them. I need to ask them what their vendor contract is. I need to be hitting them up. I need to be leveraging my congressperson or my elected official to say, hey, I'm a small business owner. I'd like to do contract with the state. I'd like to do contract with the party. Can you help connect them? So we fall back every 4 years, and then the presidential comes in and we all think, okay, we want part of that millions, but there's money to be made in between, but you have to stay engaged in the every community, including the political community, has its own players, its own actors, its own rhythm, and you have to get on the field. And many of us stay on the sidelines, grumble, and then, or we don't know the entry points, right? And then we get passed up. So one of the entry points is through our elected officials, right? State, county, federal, they know where these things are. And this is part of holding them accountable and asking them. Now, I'm not blaming our elected officials for the fact that we don't get these bites of the apple, but I'm saying they are the entry point. Now, if that's not working, then obviously, talking to other folks, those of us who have worked that landscape to help you all before the election year comes to get situated is the strategy. So it's a strategy. I'm happy when we win, knock on wood. I'd like to work in communities and help orient people, because I think it's just we don't know where to enter, and once you figure it out, it starts to change the climate.
So Doc, I want to ask Melvin a question. I want to ask both Melvin and
y'all. I got another Zoom that started 3 minutes ago. I'm so sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. Thank you for having
Ms.
me.
Andre, that being said, Ms. Andre, I want you to know that I'm the vice president of the Miami-Dade Democratic Black Caucus. So I want us to engage.
Yes.
After this, yes, we will talk.
You got my email. Let's make that happen soon, like this week.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Melvin. Thank you, Karen.
Take care, sis. Thank you. Love.
Thank you.
Take care. Appreciate you.
God bless all.
All right. God bless.
So Melvin, we're actually running over a little bit, but Melvin, I wanted to ask you a question. What do you think, or what are you going to do personally within your business, within dealing with the athletes? What are you going to do differently as far as either social justice or just, encouraging the vote, encouraging your clients to vote, your friends to vote, your family? What are you going to do differently as a result of everything that's happened recently?
One of the things I love about the NFL this year, they have actually most Tuesday is the normal day off for any NFL player. So on that day, they're delegating that day for us on the voting. They're encouraging every NFL player, white, black, Hispanic, whatever, to go on that day. And they've given them that day. They basically made it like an NFL day to go vote. So with that being said, I was so happy, impressed that the emphasis is on that. So now the guys, instead of sleeping in or hanging out Monday night like we used to normally do, I was that guy too, and partying and not getting up. So now this day you'll feel guilty that your other teammates, they got to push each other. So it's like working out, you know what I'm saying? So if you're going to be lazy, we're not going to win. So we got to go ahead and have each one implement to each other and converse. So I'm going to penetrate my 15 clients and let them on those various teams to know. A lot of them are still young guys on their first contract. I got one guy on the second contract who's a veteran. So if they see the young guys getting and going and talking about it in the locker room, that fraternity is so small. I mean, when we hit the stadium, the 60, 80,000 people, that's just the audience. But within, there's so much personal stuff that goes on in that locker room with those 60 players, to the point that, you get to know everybody's ups or downs, their family, the whole deal. So now to converse in that locker room, in the training room, in the weight room about, hey, I'm going to vote instead of, hey, I'm going to a club. I think that's going to send a signal throughout the country and they see these athletes at these polls. That's going to help. And I'm encouraging all the guys, take pictures. You know what I'm saying? You're there for a reason. Vote first, and then allow them to vote. And then the social media pictures, the whole deal. So I like with the basketball, one of the guys on the TV yesterday was basically saying they're going to go to different polls and they're going to announce that this particular NBA star will be there. If that's what it takes, do it. You know what I'm saying? NFL, do it. We don't care. But real quick, there's a guy, as far as a disability, somebody hammered this, was asking a question about the voting on disability. If you can, go to ada.gov and then go to American with Disabilities Act. There's a whole ADA checklist for you. Nikki Hammer, there you go right there. You go to the ada.gov, sir, and then there's a whole checklist for policies for voting for disability. So you can get all the information you want on that site. So we're not ignoring you. So just letting you know.
Mr. Bratton, before you finish, I want yourself and Karen and Kandi to reemphasize what business you do. What is your business? What's the name of your business? Please.
Yeah, he's a.
Well, I was for MB5 Sports and MB5 Sports Entertainment, and like I said, I'm certified MBA for the last 2 years. I haven't dove quite into the MBA sector. It's a lot of more work, a lot of work, not more work, but a lot of work. My son, who's 12, is into the AAU circuit, so that's the reason I got licensed. But the NFL is my sector. I played at a high level at the University of Miami, also the Denver Broncos. So the passion is there, and I get a rush far as educating these young guys. I made a lot of mistakes, y'all. I'm not perfect sitting here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all, hey, my life was peachy cream. No, I made some mistakes, but success is failure. So I'm learned from my failures to maybe implement to these guys. God put me here to be a mentor in these kids' life. It's not about the money. So when this becomes a job, I'm getting out the game. And right now, It's a passion for me to sow back into these dudes, not to step in the potholes, limit the potholes basically, because there's so many out there that they can step in financially, family, women. I mean, I've been there. I've done it. I've seen it. So a lot of them that I recruit, if they can't take my tools and guidance, I will fire you because all money, not good money. And that's just my stance on it.
Well, Bratton, I definitely, you're coming back on the show. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, you're definitely coming back on the show because
you strong arm me, huh?
I'm strong arming you. Bratton, because we need you. We need you on the show. You have a lot to say, and so we need to, fight together in this climate. So thank you for coming, Karen. Please emphasize what you do, the business. I know, Karen. I'm not going to let the cat out the bag, Karen, but please tell us what you're doing, your latest venture.
Okay, so basically, we kind of spoke about it in the beginning. You weren't on, but I told them I'm a medical professional by trade, but I mean, I also am a marketing because I have my degrees in marketing business as well. And I started KV Connect LLC, so that's my business. That's what I'm doing now, and we're also doing quite a few different projects that Dr. Norman and I are involved in right now. And that's basically, as I said, I'm an activist as well. So there's quite a few things that
Karen, what about your line? Do you want to talk about the line or no?
The line, my purse line that I'm starting. This came up due to Black Lives Matter, and I'm starting my own purse line as well, which I will post on my website, and it's going to be something with the Black Lives Movement. It has the fist, and I'm willing because it's actually coming from China. So once it gets here, then I'll have everything on the website as well. So that will be posted on the website.
And the proceeds will be going to the Black Lives Matter movement.
Lives Matter movement, correct.
And Miss Kandi, please reemphasize what you're doing. What's your business?
So a couple of things. So Mel, make sure I would like to contact you. If you guys are doing anything, we can give you free advertisement on our Life After Sports app. So there also is a private chat. You can either put your information in the private chat, as Karen Andre did, or you can. I'm KC Biz Boss and Life After Sports across all social media. I'm easy to find. So I do a couple of things. I'm a Hall of Famer myself. So I ghostwrite books for a lot of my athletes. So a lot of my athletes, I've got 3 WNBA players right now working on their books, couple college players, couple NFL players. I write their books. Sometimes my name is on it, and sometimes it's not. I help them with marketing and, more importantly, branding their business. And aside from that, we have a sports app, and we also do a lot of events here in Vegas. I'm from Chicago, so it's so funny because I heard Miss Andre say something about Cook County earlier. I was like, okay, Cook County. When she said that, I don't know if y'all caught that, but that's Chicago. So yeah, so I do have a lot of, like I said, clients all over the country, but I relocated here to Vegas. We do work with the Raiders, we do work with the Knights, and all of that. And also we have a new PPE kit for athletes. So if they're coming to Vegas, it has everything they need from Lysol to Microban. It has their masks in there. We have our Life After Sports mask. We sell Nike masks, all kind of, whatever it is that they need. We have a bag that we will deliver to their hotel room, ready to go when they get here. So if you guys are ever traveling to Vegas, we will have a PPE tote bag which is an upscale premium bag with everything we're talking the coffee mug, Band-Aids, everything they need. And all of that will be in the bag, and it's a reusable bag, and the athletes love it, and it's a Life After Sports bag. So yeah, I'm not what did she say, Ghanaian, but I got about 13 jobs. I'm a writer.
Well, Kandi, I would like to again encourage everyone to click on the link, talk to Dr. Whyte. Click on the link, the YouTube link. Subscribe, right, Kandi? Subscribe to Talk to Dr. Whyte.
We want them to subscribe to our YouTube page, Doc. Everything is Talk to Dr. Whyte, just like it sounds. Talk to Dr. Whyte on Instagram, on Twitter, on Periscope, and on YouTube, and on Facebook. We have a total branding model. Everything has Dr. Whyte's beautiful picture on it, so you can't miss it. And so, yeah, and some people love you. They're loving you, Melvin. You got a big fan. I just want to let you guys know. Do us a favor and share this out on all the mediums that you see it pop up on, because we had a great show today. The numbers were amazing. We've had, and we're going to also boost this page. It's going to be great. And, when you come back on, hopefully we'll have all your social media content, Melvin, and everything that you're doing to limit the potholes. That's so funny. Yes, guys. So, Doc, I don't know. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm wrapping it up.
Hey, Doc, before you close out, Kandi, we definitely got to talk. How me and Karen met at Lorna's, which is a Jamaican restaurant in Miami. My friend Matari owns it, and Karen and I met there. The first thing she said to me, "Why not minorities owning NFL teams?" So I'm like, "Where does this woman come from? Who is she?" I mean, say, what does she know about the economics of an NFL owner? And I was actually having a meeting discussing that, and she walked up. It wasn't nobody but God. So what we got to do, we're going to get that team. So what you have an experience you have in being an owner, we got to talk, saying we would love to have a black female within that group, but we're going to have that hand. We're going to raise that capital, and we're going to do it. And it's going to benefit all of us.
Stay ready. I stay ready. I got a group here. I got a group here in Vegas. They ready. They ready already. So let's get it done.
We're going to talk like right off the deal tonight or tomorrow. Let's wrap. Let's definitely talk. Yes.
Well, Mr. Bratton, I definitely I'm on board with that. I support that 1,000%. That's why I wanted to make sure that this platform promotes the businesses. Okay, each and every one of our businesses. We all are doing something. I'm an entrepreneur myself and an investor, so I do support black businesses, and I do emphasize we need to own our businesses. We need to own our homes. We need to own a lot of things.
Right.
We need to change that mindset. And I promote this across the board: black, white, Chinese, anything. Own your business. So the thing is, again, I thank each and every one of you for coming on the show, the Dr. Whyte Show. Please subscribe on YouTube, Periscope, Instagram, and everywhere else. And so, Karen, Vaughn,
Twitter,
thank you. Also, Mr. Bratton, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the invite. Thank you, guys. Y'all stay blessed. Stay safe.
Okay, thank you.
All right, God bless.
All right.
Thank you.
God bless.